Thanks, Tim. There is going to be a little bit of a PowerPoint here to help with my my talk tonight. So if once you're done eating or getting a drink, feel free to slide over to see it. It's not necessary to see, but it might be a little bit helpful. I will have some examples of things to do and not to do that I'll put up on the screen. We all have favorite clients, and one of mine is Costco, and I'll tell you why. I got a call from the general counsel several years ago, and he had a problem. He said, "Lee, we've done an audit of our store up in the valley, and we've underpaid the landlord about $1 million over the past 10 years. And I put on my lawyer hat and I said, well, there's a statute of limitations on that, so maybe they can get the underpayments for 4 years, but those underpayments from 6 or 8 or 9 or 10 years ago, the landlord can't get that from you." And they said, no, you misunderstand. I want you to call the landlord and tell him we owe him $1 million. Where should we send the check? And that is doing the right thing. They didn't have to do it. The landlord didn't even know they had underpaid, but it was Costco doing the right thing. And I'll tell you, that was an easier phone call than some of the phone calls I make to the other side of a dispute. And the landlord said yes, he would take the check, which was doing the right thing also. But Jerry Evans at Lee and Associates asked me several years ago to give advice about how to avoid litigation. And after I did that for Jerry, and some of you have the what I call my broker's 10 commandments, I realized that virtually every one of them, hey Jerry, there's Jerry Evans, he's responsible for this. Every one of them can probably go back to doing the right thing. Some of it is, what's here, you can just say, this doesn't feel right. Some of it is being a little bit more careful. But it all goes back to the Costco thing, which is trying to do the right thing. The goal here, where are you, Martin? Is two things. Number one, avoiding disputes. Your client, your boss, your spouse, they don't want to hear that you've been sued. They don't want to hear, the client doesn't want to hear that you did something that had them getting sued. The only people who like it when you get sued is me. Okay? So my firm doesn't know I'm here, don't tell them. But I'm trying to help you to avoid disputes. Avoid getting sued. Avoid having an argument with a client or the other side. And then if people always say, can I get sued for this? The answer to that question is always yes, because people can sue. So if you do get sued, you want to maximize your chance of winning. Again, if you do get sued, you want to make sure you win. Okay. Next. My experience is that a lot of problems arise when you haven't clarified who you're representing. The brokers have an unusual ability that lawyers don't have, which is you can represent both sides of a transaction. I can't do that. And a lot of problems arise when you represent both sides of the transaction. Very important whenever you do that you go above and beyond the call-up duty to make sure everybody knows that you're representing both sides, that you've clarified it, and that during the course of that representation, you are completely above the board in terms of everything you're doing. Make sure everybody knows exactly what you're doing at all times. If at any point it gets to the two sides of the transaction are having a dispute, you may not want to continue to be in that position. If there's a dispute about what disclosures need to be made, there's a dispute about who's entitled to do what, I know it's great to be on both sides of the transaction, we all know why, but sometimes it leads to trouble. A lot of the problems I see, in fact, I handled a matter recently in which a very well-respected broker in Beverly Hills had to pay out a lot of money because even though he had fully disclosed what he was doing to both sides, when the relationship between the landlord and tenant went wrong, he was brought into the lawsuit, They paid a lot of money in settlement to get out of it, much more than he'd ever received on the commission. Next.